Hello, hello, hello. I am the Linux Mensch. If you've been following my channel, you know that I do a lot of work in virtual machines, and my favorite virtual software application is Virt-Manager, running on top of QEMU, QEMU. Now, if you're running Debian or many of the other distributions, Virt-Manager is easy to install. You go to the Software Center, you click on the icon, and it installs it with all its dependencies and proper configuration files, and everything's ready to go. It works out of the box. But if you're installing Virt-Manager in pure Arch Linux, it's a little more complicated. You have to install Virt-Manager and about 9 other packages, maybe 6, 7 other packages. And then you have to change some of the configuration files in Etsy to get it working. So I made an install script 2 years ago that would install Virt-Manager quickly and easily in pure Arch Linux. And then a year ago, I had to update the script because it stopped working because of changes in Arch Linux. Now, a couple of days ago, I updated my script again. I revised my script. First of all, I wanted to make sure the script was still working. And secondly, I updated the script because there was an update in some packages back in June of 2024. And after the update, if you are running uncomplicated firewall in your host machine and you're using Virt-Manager for your VMs no longer had internet. So at the time I made a video, the only way I knew how to resolve the problem was to either turn off uncomplicated firewall in your host machine, which was not a good idea as far as I was concerned, or downgrade some packages. And either way, fixed it so that the VMs once again had internet. Now, if you're using Firewalled, which is another firewall application, you didn't have the problem. It was only a problem between uncomplicated firewall, QEMU and Virt-Manager and libvirt, and the virtual machines running in pure Arch Linux. I'm not sure if the problem happened in any other distributions. So there is a better solution, a proper solution, where you can change a configuration file in Etsy, and it will enable you to keep uncomplicated firewall turned on and working in your host machine, and you can keep all your packages up to date, and your VMs will have internet. So I tweaked my install script so that it includes that change. So I'm not going to work in a virtual machine today. I have another bare metal computer here that's running Arch Linux, pure Arch Linux that is, with the GNOME desktop environment. And the reason why I have it running the GNOME desktop environment is because GNOME makes it really easy to remote into, because I don't have my camera and my mic and my recording equipment hooked up to that computer, and I don't want to start messing around with everything. So I'm just going to remote into that computer, and I'm going to see if my install script for installing Virt-Manager works, and I'm going to see if my VMs have internet. So let's get to it. Sorry about the long intro. So right now I'm in my real bare metal computer, the computer I do all my recording in and my production in. And before I remote into that computer and use my new install script to download and install Virt-Manager, before I even do that, I'm going to show you a tweak to fix your Virt-Manager so that your VMs will have internet access even though you're using uncomplicated firewall in your host machine, and even though your system is fully up to date, because you probably don't want to go through a fresh install of Virt-Manager, right? So let's do that first. So I'm going to open up a terminal, and I'm going to make it a little larger. Recently, someone sent me a message concerning this issue, and this person said their VMs in Virt-Manager have internet access because he turned off uncomplicated firewall in the host machine. So you really shouldn't have to do that. And even though I made a video about that back in June, that's not the right way to do it. And like I said, in that video, I also showed another way was to downgrade some packages. And that's not the right way to do it. This is the correct way to do it. This is the best way to do it. What you're going to do is, first of all, update your system. Make sure your system is fully up to date. Turn uncomplicated firewall back on, and then do this. We're going to cd into Etsy libvirt, okay? And now I'm going to ls it, and I'm going to go into this file right here. network.conf. Okay, I'm going to vim into network.conf. So when you log into this file, everything is going to be commented out or deactivated. There's going to be the hashtag in front of every line. You're going to go to the very bottom and you're going to type in what I have here for line 30. You're going to type that in. You're going to save the file and you're going to reboot your computer. And once you do that, your VMs in Virt-Manager will have internet access, even though uncomplicated firewall is turned on and your system is fully up to date. So now I'm going to close this and I'm going to clear the screen. Let's just get out of there. You don't have my GitLab repository. You should download it. And you're going to download it like this. You're going to do git clone https://gitlab.com/artibus1/mensch.git. And if you can't remember this line is in the show notes of all my videos. And if you already downloaded it a long time ago, you should cd into mensch and you should type in git pull and that will update it for you. Okay. Now, once you're in mensch, you should cd into arch, ls it, and you're going to go into this file here, Virt-Manager sh. Okay, so I'm going to vim into it. So this is my configuration file. It's going to install all these packages up here on line 4, then line 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18. It's going to make all these changes in the configuration files so Virt-Manager will work properly without trouble. Okay, now line 18 is new. Line 18, I just put in there the other day. That's going to copy the network.conf into etc libvirt. And if you're doing a fresh install, it's going to copy this file over there with line 30 already there, so you don't have to type it in. Okay, so it's going to set everything up for you. Now, like I said, if you already have Virt-Manager installed, you should do this manually yourself. You don't have to go through a brand new fresh install of Virt-Manager. So now what I'm going to do is remote into my other bare metal computer that's running Arch Linux with the GNOME desktop environment. I'm going to remote into there and I'm going to use my install script to install Virt-Manager and I'm going to see if it works. Now, if you notice the date and time is off, that's because I recorded this video over 2 days. So the middle part of the video, the main part of the video, I recorded yesterday. And then today I did the introduction and the conclusion. Anyways, let's go over to my other computer and see if my install script works. So now I've remoted into another real bare metal computer that's sitting beside me. And this computer is running pure Arch Linux with the GNOME desktop environment, but I don't have Virt-Manager installed. Now, what I do have is, let's go to Files, and let's make it full screen. Let's go to Downloads. I've downloaded the Arch Linux ISO, and I verified the signature, and I verified the 2 subtext, the SHA 252 subtext, and the Blake subtext. So I'm going to run my script and see if it works. Now, I'm pretty sure I've updated my GitLab repository, but let's just check it out. So I'm going to open up Xterm, and I'm going to make it. Now, I made a key binding, and GNOME makes it really easy to make key bindings, but I'm not going to show you how to do that today. I've done that in previous videos, and it's control. I made control mod key spacebar, makes it full screen, and toggles it down to floating. So what I'm going to do is cd into mensch, and I just want to do a git pull. I think it's up to date. I guess it wasn't. Okay. See? So that's how you update the system, in case you didn't know. And what I'm going to do is ls it. I'm going to cd into arch. I'm going to clear the screen, Control L, and I'm going to ls it. So see, I have 2 Virt-Manager files here. I have a text. This one here is the script .sh. This one is the text. So I'm going to use the script. It's vim virt. We're just going to vim into it. Okay, and that's the script. So it's going to install all these packages. It's going to change all these configuration files and make these changes. And I'm going to run the script, /, and that's it there. Okay, I'm going to put my password in, and it's downloading all these files. So it's downloading 122 files. Let's let it run through, and then we'll do a reboot and we'll see what happens. Okay, so that took about 30 seconds. I really didn't have to pause the video. Now I'm going to have to reboot, and because I'm logged in remotely, I'm going to get disconnected. So I've been disconnected and my computer is rebooting. If I sound a bit different today, it's because I've been sick. I had a really bad cold. I'm kind of getting over it. I think I'm 3/4 over it. Okay, so I'm going to put the video on pause, see if the other computer is booted up into the system, and log in. And I'm going to go into Virt-Manager and see if my virtual machines have internet. So don't go away, because I'll be back. Okay, so I rebooted my real bare metal computer and I've logged into it through remote desktop. It's an application called, a software app called Ramina. And I've logged into it and here I am. So let's see if Virt-Manager works and if my virtual machines have internet. So let's just go here. There it is there, Virt-Manager. So let's click it on and let's do Control Mod key space bar, makes it full screen. That's a key binding I put in. And we just have to wait for it to connect. The first time after booting up, it takes a second to connect. There, it's connected. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log on to a live ISO of Arch Linux. And I'm not going to go through a full install. I don't need to do that to prove that my virtual machine has internet. Okay, so I'm going to do a file, and I'm going to click on new virtual machine, and it's going to go forward, and I'm going to browse, and I'm going to browse local, and well, I'm right here, but it's in downloads, right? And there's the ISO. So I'm going to do open. I'm going to go forward. Now, the very first time you use it, you're going to get this message, but after that, you won't get that message anymore. So the emulator may not have search permissions for the path. Do you want to correct this now? You're going to say yes. I'll say yes. And that's the last time you're going to have to do it. You won't have to do that again. You know, normally I make my virtual machines 4 gigabytes of RAM. I give it 4 CPUs. Usually I give them a 50 gig hard drive. I'm not going to do that today because I'm not going to go through an install. So I'm just going to go forward. So, I mean, if you're doing if you never used Virt-Manager before, you never used a virtual machine before, you really want to make that at least 4096, 4096, make that 4 processors, right? And I'm going to go forward. And I'm just going to go with the 20 gig hard drive, but you probably want to have a 50 gig or a 100 gig hard drive if you're really going to use the virtual machine. But I'm not even going to do an install. So I'm going to go forward, call it Arch Linux, and I'm going to finish. So it's creating the virtual machine. I'm just going to say allow, and I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to hit these little arrows here to make it full screen. And it's booting onto the live ISO. And there we have it. We've booted onto the live ISO, and I'm just going to make the font a bit larger. Set font tier -132B. Okay, and I'm going to clear the screen. So this is the test. Do we have internet? Let's do ping archlinux.org. And if you see this bar up here, that bar is there because I've remoted into another real bare metal computer, okay? So this bar belongs to my remote software called Ramina. And if I click on this, I'm going to disconnect and end up back in my other bare metal computer. Okay, so that's what that's about. So I'm going to ping archlinux.org. And we have internet. Now, Control C will clear it or stop it, and Control L clears the screen. Let's do ping google.com and see we have internet. Now, of course, if you don't have internet, you're going to get an error message. You're not going to get the ping result. Okay, so Control C stops it. So we have internet, which means I can do a full install of Arch Linux, and my virtual machine will have internet. Or I could install Linux Mint or any other Linux distribution, and my VMs will have internet. And I don't have to turn off uncomplicated firewall. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut down now. And of course, it's saying there's no bootable device because I didn't go through a full install. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to click that on, and I'm going to force it off. And I'm going to, yes, I'm going to power off, and I'm going to delete it because it's no good anymore. If I want to do an install, I'm going to have to start all over again. So let's delete that. Okay, and let's close this. Now, what I want to do is, let's just open up Xterm. Let's do control like that. And let's do sudo uncomplicated firewall status. Put my password in. And of course, I have my ports open so I could remote into it. You can see my firewall is active. And you know what? Let's do this one. Let's do verbose. So we can see my firewall is active. The default is to deny incoming, allow outgoing, and I'm allowing, I have a port open up so I can remote into here and do my video. And of course, the reason why I remoted into it is because in this other computer, or this computer here, I don't have my camera, microphone hooked up to it, or my recording equipment, OBS set up in here or anything like that. So I have everything hooked up to my main production computer, and I want to start messing around with things. So that's why I remoted into here. So I opened up the ports to remote into here. And that's it. In this video, I talked about how updates going back to June 2024 caused an issue where if you were using uncomplicated firewall in your Arch Linux system, your VMs and Virt-Manager wouldn't have internet access. And I talked about how back in the summertime, how I figured out two solutions were one was to turn off uncomplicated firewall, which wasn't a good idea. And the second thing was to roll back some of those updates. And either solution worked, but they weren't really good solutions. But I have a better solution. So in this video, I showed a better solution. And I also talked about how the other day, I updated my install script for Virt-Manager to include the better solution. And I also showed you that if you already have Virt-Manager installed, you don't have to reinstall it. So I showed you how to manually tweak a configuration file so your VMs and Virt-Manager will have internet access even though your system is fully up to date and uncomplicated firewall is turned on. And I also entered into a remote session with another real bare metal computer that I have that's running Arch Linux with the GNOME desktop environment. And I tested my revised Virt-Manager install script. I installed Virt-Manager with it easily and perfectly, and it's working. And I was able to install a virtual machine that has internet access. So I just wanted to show you that it works. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I am the Linux Mensch.